Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Scrap2Cast. Today's video is a little different than most videos that I do. I'm not going to be doing a scrap session or metal melting or casting in this video. This video is in response to one of my good YouTube friends by the name of Silver Scorpion. He saw potential in me 2 months ago. I didn't know him from a hole in the wall, never even heard of his channel. But he had subscribed to my channel, he liked what he saw. He saw the potential of my channel, and he actually shared one of my videos within his community of people. I think he has almost 1,800 subscribers right now. He had 1,600 when I first started talking to him. Well, he shared my video. He gave me a shout out in one of his videos, and I can't thank him enough. He's helped grow my channel, never asked for a thing in return. And he's doing a challenge right now. It's called the Startup Challenge. And it's pretty much, you post a video, and then once you publish it to YouTube, you email him a link to your video, and then he features it on his channel. And he's really bringing a lot of people together, and that's what he does. Great guy. Check out his channel, please. There will be a link in the description to that video for the Startup Challenge, and then you can check out his other videos based on that. And make sure you subscribe to him because he's got a lot of different things that he's into. Anyways, this is how I got into scrapping and casting. 2 channels in one, Scrap2Cast. That's why I have the number 2. See how that works. But it started off 1988. My grandfather gave me a 1905 Indian head penny. I was 8 years old at the time. My grandfather knew I was addicted to money at a very young age. I was always talking about money. I don't know why. I was 3 years old. Anytime I was looking at the ground and I found something that was gold colored, I'd be like, "Mom, Dad, is this real gold?" And they'd be like, "No, son, it's not." And you could tell they were getting annoyed with it because I would always ask them that. Don't know where I got this addiction to money. I do believe in reincarnation. I'm thinking maybe it was in a previous life. Maybe I was very wealthy, or maybe I was around money all the time, especially gold. Not to make you guys think I'm crazy or not, but I do believe in reincarnation. I definitely do. Just because of things that have happened to me in my life and the deja vu that I get and being drawn to certain things in certain periods of time. But, yeah, my grandfather gave me a 1905 Indian head penny. I got hooked on coins, and I had a paper route when I was 11, and I made $70 a week for 1 full year. I had that route, and in that year I was able to stash away $2,500 in cash as an 11-year-old boy. Imagine that. My father said, "This is a good kid. He's going to be really good with money when he's older." No, not at all. Times change, especially when you get your license in a car. And then you discover girls. Or boys. Me, it was girls. But, anyways. I built up a coin collection during that time, too. I'd take half the money I earned every week, and I would go to the coin shop and buy coins for my collection. In turn, I learned a lot about history because of those eras in school. I paid attention a lot to U.S. history. Always intrigued by history. Always buy coins, too, ever since the beginning of our country, even in the colonial times and before that. When I was 21 years old, I was in a coin shop in North Carolina. That's where I lived originally for a little while. Somebody brought in a seated Liberty dime. It had a rotated reverse. It had a 90-degree rotation on it. It was just a common date, and I think it was XF45 condition. Beautiful coin. Had a couple surface scratches on it, but the dealer offered him $500 cash for it, and the guy declined it. As the guy was leaving, I caught him outside, and I asked him, I was like, "Where'd you get that dime?" Because I never seen one with a 90-degree rotation. That's pretty rare. He said, "I dug it out of the ground with my metal detector in Georgia." And I was like, and I was taken back by that. And I said, "You really find coins like that in the ground?" He's like, "Son, people have been losing coins since the beginning of time, since we had pockets and coin purses. Or just creatures that, consume, and we drop things." I was like, "Yeah, I've dropped things. I've lost money before, So he went on his way. First thing I did, got in my truck, drove right down to the hobby shop that was about 10 minutes away. Took one look in the metal detectors on the wall, and I bought a mid-range one, a White IDX Pro. I used it for about a month. I didn't like the screen on it. I wanted a more sophisticated screen. So I traded it back in, and I paid the difference and got a White's XLT. And, I was metal detecting for a little while, a couple years off and on. And when I was 25 years old, I bumped into another metal detectorist in the next town over from where I lived. I was metal detecting at school, and he happened to be there with his stepdaughter. Introduced himself to me. We were talking about metal detecting for a good hour. We exchanged numbers, and the following weekend, a Saturday, he had called me. And we went metal detecting, and I had a good time with him. We became best of friends. We're still best of friends to this day. He's about 15 years older than me, actually. I was 25 at the time, and he was 40 when I met him. He's like a brother to me, older brother. We'll always have a special place for him right here. If he's watching right now, you know, Jay, you're the man. But anyways, I'm rambling on. Let's make this quick. Jay and I were metal detecting one Saturday along some black tracks in Massachusetts. And I got a screaming signal on my metal detector. And it was shallow. It was about 2 inches deep. And it came up as a silver dollar. It wasn't a silver dollar that I dug, but it was a silver dollar signal. And it was a tight signal. And I knew it was something round. Usually the metal detectors like roundness. That's why when you see that show Diggers, they're always talking about roundness in the hole. You know, metal detectors love round for some reason. I took out my shovel, my little spade that I had, hand spade, and I dug it out, and it turned out to be a railroad padlock. Well, the railroad padlock was covered in dirt, and once I got the dirt cleaned off, I was amazed at what I was looking at. And I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to get the camera set up. Take care of that. That is a sweet railroad padlock. New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. It was locked when I found it, just like you see it here. The back of it, right here, it's got a post in it, and this is offset. This is like a key restriction. This is something restricted. You couldn't make keys for this. You had to either get them from the company, or a locksmith or a blacksmith would have to fabricate something to stick in there and, you know, make it work. It was locked when I found it, covered in dirt, filled with dirt in here. I soaked it in WD-40 for 3 weeks, got all the dirt out, and I've had this since I was 25 years old, and I'm 41 now. It wasn't until 7 years ago I actually finally got it open. And I am a locksmith, by the way. That's what I do for a living. I took a letter opener, of all things, wedged it in behind the post here at the top. It hit the lever actuator that would release the shackle, and I felt movement on it. So I hit the little lever, and I got it to pop open. I was ecstatic. I was so happy I got it open after all these years. And I soaked it again in WD-40 for a week to get all the dirt out from where the shackle was. And I vowed that I was going to make a key for this one day. And I knew at that time the only way I could make a key is if I had like a piece of brass stock, because you can't find these keys. This lock is about 110 to 120 years old, I estimate. I think this lock dates back to the 1890s, right around that time, late 1890s maybe. I vowed to make a key. That was 7 years ago. And the only way I could think of is by getting a piece of brass stock and then hand filing it. And then, you know, using a drill bit to, you know, make a hole in the stock. And then, you know, hand file it or with tools or whatever. So I could get it in here. And then I can impression it and make it turn inside this. Well, it was about 4 years ago. I was looking on YouTube how to cast a brass bar. I wanted to see how people did it from at home, because I get a lot of brass keys, scrap brass keys, and I melt it down. I wanted to start melting it down, rather. So I found a video. I found an Art by a Drock video, and then once I started watching his content, Big Stack D was recommended to me. And usually it's the other way around. Usually it's Big Stack D and then Art by a Drock, but it happened to be the opposite for me. It was Art by a Drock first, followed by Big Stack D. I learned a lot from both of their channels. Everything I ever learned about scrapping, not scrapping, but casting, is from those two channels. And I decided at that point, oh, the spring just popped out, but it goes back in. I decided at that point I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this padlock a key made for it. So I bought an electric melting furnace. I got my first crucible with it, and the first day I pretty much melted a hole in our table at work. Yeah, I really did that. Long story, I'll talk about that some other time. But anyways, I casted a brass bar out of it, and I took the brass bar and I filed it to make it this shape here. And then I took a drill bit and I bored a hole into the stock of the bar. So this way here, it would fit inside the lock once I have it shaped correctly. It would fit right over this post. Well, I did. It took me 10 hours over the course of 2 nights, 5 hours each night. I painstakingly filed this bar down with hand files. And this is the key that I made. I made a heart-shaped key. Just put it on the desk here so you can see it. There you go. That's it. And I bored the hole in here. The drill bit. Did a pretty good job actually with what I had. Sorry. And yeah, I made this dream a reality. Now I can't. There it is. It's open now. All the guts are perfect inside. And then it just clicks shut like that. And then we'll go ahead and tuck that spring in right there and get it back to where it was. And that was what surprised me with this lock, is the fact that the spring still works. It's brass, and it survived in the ground for almost 100 years. And I couldn't ask for a better lock. It was almost like I was meant to have this lock. I believe a lot in fate and stuff like that, and karma, reincarnation. You know, I'm not one of those real hippie guys, but I am kind of a hippie when it comes to that kind of stuff. But once I realized, I've never been creative, by the way. This is the first thing I ever created from my own imagination. Once I realized I had that, I was able to create something and be creative. It opened new doors for me, and I started, you know, casting other things. I mean, I used to make molds out of cardboard. I'd get, like, you know, go on the internet and find something I wanted to make. I would print it out on a piece of paper, then trim it out and put it on a piece of cardboard. And then I would cut the cardboard to size. And, you know, I started making things. And the more I watched those other 2 channels, the more I started casting. And then it wasn't until a year ago I actually made a channel. And that's how I really got started. It was because of my grandfather giving me that Indian head penny all those years ago, which turned into metal detecting, which in turn turned into metal scrapping, because, you know, you get a lot of scrap metal when you're in junk when you're metal detecting. I dig everything, including iron. And then finding this padlock opened new doors for me to go ahead and start metal casting. So it was a timeline of events there. That's how everything, you know, fell in line for me. But anyways, that's my story. That's how I got into scrapping, casting, metal detecting, coin collecting. Sorry for the long video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did stick around. I know people tend to leave when you just start rambling on about things. And hopefully, you know, maybe you'll learn something about me and my channel. But anyways, again, Silver Scorpion, thanks a lot, man, for being a really down-to-earth person, a real person. You know, there's a lot of fake people out there in the world, especially on the internet. And you seem to be a genuine guy to me. And I really appreciate everything you've done for me. And I hope one day to be able to return the favor to you. But anyways, if you guys do want to check out his channel, I'll put a link in the description to his startup challenge video, and then you guys can go from there. Just tell him Scrap2Cast sent you. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys, and have a good one.